Hey, this is Brindle Wolf. You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action, with programs to spark your growth, lift your spirits, and help you rise into your potential. Rise Awakenings, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken and climb. Rise Awakenings, now is the time. Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.
Start with the quiet parts, the things you hide behind your laugh. Sit with the ache a while. Let every question breathe and ask, who was I trying to be? Who am I when I just stay? Name every tender scar and let them have their say. This is the bloom from the soil of your sorrow. Petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the blue. Pages of old beliefs, stories that kept you playing small. Lay them out on the floor, see which ones never fit at all. Offer your younger self a kindness you never knew. Whisper you're safe with me and feel it turning true. This is the bloom from the soil of your sorrow. Petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the blue. In the shadow you found treasure, in the breaking you found room. Every tear became a river, watering what's coming through. Now you rise not as perfection, but as someone deeply real. Every part you tried to silence learns it's finally allowed to heal. The soil's the bloom from the soil of your sorrow. Petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the This is the blue.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Monday. So, welcome to the Bloom. If you are new here, the wisdom I share in this podcast is based on my personal experience and knowledge from my educational and healing journeys. And of course, I share this wisdom in the greatest degree of love. May it resonate with whomever it is meant to. And just take what resonates and leave what doesn't. So I'm going to answer as many chat questions as I can. So be thinking about your questions and popping them in there as I'm talking. I want to get to as many as time allows. Micah, thank you for being the man behind the curtain that pushes all the right buttons and makes the show happen. I am so grateful. And remember, this is a judgment-free space, including don't judge yourself. And if you feel called to dive a little bit deeper into each of your situations and personal growth and evolutionary journey, just reach out to me through the socials or go to my website and book some time. My website's under construction. I'm working on it. healingrose.org. But let's dive in. Let us just dive right in. This is an interesting topic today because today we're going to talk about the divine feminine energy. So, what is it? What's been done to it? And how we can bring ourselves home with it. So, let's start simple, first of all. What the heck is divine feminine energy? It is not about being a woman. It is not soft for the sake of soft. It is not weakness ever. Divine feminine energy is the energy of receiving before doing. It's intuition before analysis. It's the cycle before the straight line. It's the womb space, literal and energetic, that holds, nurtures, and creates from stillness rather than force. Every wisdom tradition on this earth has named it in different ways. Okay, so let me just go through that real quick with you. So, like in Hindu traditions, you have Shakti. That's the primal creative force, the energy that animates all matter without even, without which even Shiva is inert. So what I mean by that is the Shakti is the feminine energy, and the Shiva in Hinduism is the masculine energy. That masculine energy cannot move without the feminine energy. In Taoism, there's the yin, right? The yin and the yang. We've heard that. The yin is receptive. That's the feminine energy. It's dark. It's the dark flowing half of the whole, inseparable from the yang, but not opposed to it. They work in tandem. In Egypt, Isis is used as the example of the divine feminine. Okay? That's the great mother who reassembles what has been broken. In Gnostic traditions, there's Sophia, the divine wisdom herself. In Greek, there's Gaia, right? The ground we stand on ish. The indigenous traditions across the world. She's Grandmother Moon or Corn Mother. She is the one who teaches through cycles, seasons, and not conquest. So all of these different energies have the same underlying creation, receiving, intuition, nurturing, cycles. Of course, there's nuances in each of these stories, but you'll dive into that on your own if you wish to know more about each individual tradition. The idea is it's across the globe, this divine feminine energy, and the divine masculine feminine energy is the same across the globe, just different names, different stories, okay? So every one of these traditions is pointing to the same truth, that creation flows through receptivity, not domination. And I just looked down because Marie happens to be puking on my floor right now. I can't do anything about that. We are live. My poor baby. She's fine. She's fine. She's just, the thunderstorms have been making her very nervous. So she's having a little trouble with the storms that we've been having. Okay, back to the divine feminine. I'm sorry, Marie. She's fine. So creation flows through receptivity, not domination. And in every single one of us, these traditions at some point have been buried, burned, colonized, or written out of the official story, right? Throughout history. That is not a coincidence. Hold that thought. We'll come back to that. Now, here's something important. Divine feminine energy lives in everyone. So does divine masculine energy. Okay? Every man in this podcast, every woman, every person, you all carry both feminine and masculine energy inside of you. Masculine energy moves, structures, protects, and acts. Feminine energy feels, flows, receives, creates. Neither is superior. The body needs both the heartbeat and the breath, right? You do need both currents alive in you to be whole. Just like your heartbeat and your breath keep your body alive together in tandem. Society doesn't treat them as equal, though. That's the real meat and potatoes we're going to get to right now. And it doesn't affect men and women the same at all. Okay, let's talk about this whole system. For women, feminine energy has been made into a cage. You were told your intuition is too much. Your emotions are dramatic. Your softness is an invitation for abuse. No. Your body's the problem to manage. Your cycle, your menstrual cycles, an inconvenience that you got to hide, right? We've been caged by our friggin' birthright. So many of you learned to armor the very energy that was supposed to be your birthright. You learn to lead with your masculine energy, hustle, prove, produce, defend. Now, just to add a disclaimer, when I say men, women, there is definitely, it's the energy within us, okay? Because there are plenty of men who are too deep into their feminine energy and not enough of their masculine energy. And there are plenty of women out there who are too deep into their masculine energy and not at all into their feminine energy. We've all leaned into one over the other to survive this fucked up system. Oh, curse number one. I haven't cursed on the boom in a minute. Well, when we lean into our masculine energy to hustle, prove, produce, and defend, it's because it's safer than being fully, softly, and powerfully in our feminine. For men, feminine energy has been made to be shame. Little boys in the society are taught to stop crying before they're taught to tie their shoes. That sucks. We're told, man up, don't be soft. Boys don't do that, right? So the intuitive, the feeling, the nurturing part of men, that part that would let them be tender fathers, that part that would let them be honest friends, that part that would be embodied lovers, right? The safe presence gets pushed underground, shamed, mocked, ridiculed. An energy that gets pushed to the underground doesn't disappear. It leaks out sideways. You know how it leaks out? Anger, control, disconnection, and the inability to simply feel without flinching and getting defensive. And that's mostly the training in boys, but honey, we all end up taking on those characters. Girls are also shamed. So again, there's such an imbalance and a disconnect inside of ourselves with that divine masculine and feminine balance because of the way this society is programmed and structured. So let's talk honestly about why, okay? The society runs on a hierarchy, extraction, and control, right? Control cannot afford a population that trusts its intuition. Feminine energy at its healthy root is not manageable by force. So they have to stifle it. Okay? It doesn't need permission to know what it knows, right? Feminine energy is power. It's solid knowing. It moves in circles and communities and in seasons. It's not a straight line towards a quota. Okay? That kind of energy fully embodied is very hard to dominate. Very hard to dominate, which is why females who naturally lean into their feminine have been oppressed and stifled and controlled for so long. It was definitely suppressed, not by accident. Remember I said put that little tick mark there and we'll come back to it? Okay? It's not by accident. It's definitely by design. Women who healed with plants and listened to dreams were called witches and burned, right? Women's spiritual authority was written out of scripture entirely and replaced by a hierarchy. How many scriptures were eliminated from every version of the Bible at some point? Bodies that were regulated our physical bodies. We're living it in 2026. We can't even have control over a reproductive system. Cycles are shamed. I grew up in a household where it was a shameful thing. Okay. Our intuition was pathologized as hysteria. Okay. A word that literally comes from the Greek word meaning womb. So we're targeting our feminine energy in the females. We're targeted and pathologized as hysteria. The reason why I'm repeating that is because it wasn't too long ago in history that we were locked up as females if we talked back to our husbands. We were locked up if we had emotions that were too big for the man in the house to tolerate. Those buildings and those structures still exist. And I guarantee you, one of y'all had a relative who nobody talked about because she was committed. Well, yeah. There is collective damage here. There is thousands of years of collective damage here that lives in the body of every woman and every man, whether you inherited it through your life in this timeline, which I absolutely have, or you're inheriting it through your family lineage, because our emotional energy is what remains eternally. That is our spirit. And so our generational trauma we carry with us in our bodies. Okay. And that carries into this timeline. It is not your imagination, and you are not too sensitive. This is real. It's old. And we have this collective damage. We need to allow ourselves to grieve that damage. Okay. So what do we do with all this? What do we do with all this? How do we fix all this? What the hell do we do with all this knowledge that we've been lied to, we've been shamed, we've been mocked, we've been separated from ourselves, disconnected in our family units, disconnected from our true divine balance and selves and true partnership? Because when there is that symbiotic, healthy embodiment of divine masculine and feminine energies, we work together wholly as a team and complement one another. It doesn't exist right now. So we come back gently. We come back gently, not through force. That would be just masculine energy trying to fix a feminine wound. It's not how we fix it. Okay? So, what we do is, rather than doing it through force, we do it very, very gently. And that happens through practice over time. We come back by making room for stillness in a culture that's obsessed with productivity, right? And we shame ourselves for that stillness, right? Don't do that. We have to trust the knowing in our body before we explain it away with logic. How many of us don't trust what we feel within? We're immediately jumping to our thoughts and trying to explain everything away by logic. Okay. And this, again, applies to both men and women. It's a masculine and feminine energy imbalance that lives within each of us, and the system, the way it trained men and the way it trained women, and how dissolving and decimating, I think is a good word for this, decimating the feminine energy has damaged both of us so greatly and powerfully. This is what we need to come back from gently. We need to accept stillness instead of productivity. We need to trust the knowing in our bodies before we explain it away with logic. We need to let ourselves cry. For the love of God, let yourself cry without narration of why and explanation why. Sometimes our bodies just need that release. And that's just part of our process. It's okay to cry, all of us. We have to honor rest as sacred. We have to honor rest as sacred, not laziness. Stop calling it laziness. Please. The society and the system is set up for us to be robotic and productive and shamed if we're not productive. Please stop calling yourself lazy. You're exhausted. Your body actually needs the rest. Okay? So does your brain. So sometimes embodying the divine feminine energy is simply speaking your no as a full sentence. Okay? Sometimes you don't need to explain everything. Sometimes you just need to say no. And that is a powerful thing. So by gathering in circles like this one, these podcasts like we are on this one, where we are in a community, not in isolation, that's where we can heal all of our feminine energy. All of us can heal together our broken feminine energy in community. The system, the way it's set up, isolates each of us from each other. Okay? So by creating anything at all, we start to repair our feminine energy. So let's start creating as well, gently, not by force. So if you feel artistic, if you feel like playing with new recipes and food, if you want to do some kind of ceremonial, ritualistic thing for yourself, religions do it all over the place. We can do that for ourselves at home. That what that does is connects us with ourselves within and allows a space for us to be in that stillness through ceremony, right? Just being creative in life in general, okay? Even if it's in your mind, like you notice a couple of things and you decide to like design something in your brain, like that's still a form of creativity. Creativity is the bridge that helps us reconnect with ourselves and helps us balance. So we build and we build and we build and we create from inspiration rather than obligation, right? That heavy masculine energy and the system, the way it's created and takes advantage of the productiveness of the masculine energy, creates this obligation. Oof. So the difference between males and females, okay? Men, specifically what the system did to you, okay? They didn't let you feel, right? So you have to let yourself feel before you decide, I got to fix it. How do I fix it? What's the fix here? What do we need to fix? Stop. Let yourself feel first, okay? Women, you've adopted that because it was drilled into men. So now you have to like keep up and figure out how to live in it. So guess what you do too? You try to fix instead of feel, okay? Let yourself be moved without needing to explain it. If you see baby birds in a nest and something hits you in your heart and it moves you, let it move you. You're a human being. That's part of the human experience. We're here to feel fully and completely. Let yourself do it and feel it. Let yourself receive. Ooh, the receiving part is hard for everyone because we are not allowed to receive in this society. We just have to give of ourselves and pour out of empty cups, all of us, okay? But men especially. Men especially, we're trained not to receive. They're just trained to produce. Okay? Let yourself receive before you produce. What the hell does that mean? Let's dive into that one a little bit because I feel like that one is probably one of the most impactful damages that was done, that taking away receptiveness. Okay? So let things come to you. Let yourself have some things like comfort from a friend, help from people, affection, even from your friends. Allow yourself to have insight. Allow yourself to have stillness without needing to immediately earn, return, or turn it into a task. That's the thing. Are we receiving without having to earn it, return it, or turn it into a task? Okay? Maybe that looks like letting a friend take care of you without rushing to reciprocate right away. Just knowing that it'll come back in divine timing. Sitting with a feeling instead of immediately problem solving it away and rationalizing it away. Just sitting with that feeling and letting it breathe for a minute. Okay? And I'm not talking about the feelings that the only feelings that you were allowed to have. I'm talking about all the other feelings that you weren't allowed to have. You sit in anger enough. Okay? Let's instead sit in all the feels that we're not allowed to have, that we were shamed and mocked for, okay? How about accepting a compliment or a comfort without deflecting it with self-deprecation or joking it off in any way or refusing it right away, like, oh, nah. Don't do that, okay? Just don't do that at all. How about letting yourself rest? Y'all are manufacturers, right? We're all manufacturing something. Produce, produce, produce. How about letting yourself rest without treating rest as something that has to justify being productive tomorrow? That's guilting yourself, shaming yourself for giving your body what it needs and your brain what it needs. By the way, if your body starts tearing unnecessarily and just eyes are watery all the time, just for no fucking reason, your brain is asking for rest. Your brain is asking you to stop thinking and analyzing. Okay, your body tells you. There's all these wonderful little tricks your body does for you. How about listening to someone else's pain without jumping in to fix it? How about just sitting in the mud with someone? Okay, I know this more heavily affected men because your programming is fix, do, fix, do, fix, do. But females adopted this too because they didn't have a choice. So it affected all of us. The system is fucking broken. Okay. So the message to the overuse of the men energy here is to stop. We're not telling you to stop being active or incapable. You know what I mean? The focus has to shift to your worth is not only what you do for others, it is also you're allowed to simply receive. That's the feminine energy current that we are talking about and describing. It's that the part of us that can be filled without having to earn the filling. Okay? That part. So let yourself feel before you rush to fix it. Let yourself be cared for without immediately paying it back. Let yourself be moved without needing to turn it into a task or needing to shame yourself for just admiring something that moves you. Okay? Well, how it affected women more specifically now. But it also affected men. So again, that differentiation, energies. We got to reclaim the feminine energy. And that's not about being softer for someone else's comfort because the system teaches us, oh yeah, be in your feminine, be soft, be submissive, be adaptable, be accommodating. No, that is not what feminine energy is at all. It's about trusting yourself so completely that you no longer need to armor yourself to feel safe in your own skin. Because lordy, the divine feminine energy does not feel safe to be in because the masculine is so distorted and potent in unhealthy ways. So let's start trusting ourselves so completely that we no longer need to armor to feel safe. Okay? This work is very slow. It takes time, and it's a process of homecoming. There's no checklist here. It's not a checklist for you to tick off boxes. Just know that every time you choose intuition over performance, every time you rest without guilt, every time you let yourself feel the fullest range of what is meant, what it means to be alive, what is meant for you to feel, what it really means to be alive, you are undoing centuries of damage, one breath at a time, and you're giving the people around you permission to do the same. Other people need you to feel, they need to see you in action, need you to feel the difference when you're more embodying that powerful softness, that creation, that inner knowing, that intuition, that receiving fully. Okay? So today, I invite you to just say quietly to yourself, I trust what I know. I am allowed to be soft and powerful simultaneously. I am not too much. I was never too much. I am whole, healthy, and complete. And my softness is my medicine. And just let that sink into you for a moment. and allow yourself to recognize all the times that you refused assistance, that you refused gifts, that you refused compliments, that you received help that you couldn't take because of the way the system shamed you for that, the way the system hurt you from that. I want to open it up to the discussion. I know I talked a lot today, but it's such a touchy subject because it's not about man or woman, but it also is about man or woman because of the way the system is designed and the way it just is made to separate us. How do you nurture the feminine without feeling weak? Okay, it's first of all recognizing that the feminine energy isn't weakness. The natural way of being, okay, before patriarchy took over, there was matriarchy. There is no hierarchy in matriarchy. There is no hierarchy. Okay, it's children fostering loving relationships and connection and building the children up to be whole, healthy, and complete and balanced. And it is community. It is never isolation, as this system is structured to make us feel weak because we ask for help, make us feel weak because we needed rest, make us feel shamed because we're receiving, make us feel guilty for receiving. Like those, the guilt, the shame, and the denial of our natural essence is what's weakening us, not our natural divine feminine energy. Our natural divine feminine energy is absolute power. It is so powerful that the system, the patriarchal system, decided to oppress it for centuries, thousands of years, because of the fear they have of being treated the way they disregard and treat women. Okay? They want to dominate what they don't understand and can't have. So therefore, let's destroy the female and let's shame her and lie to her and tell her all these wonderful things and sell her all these ideas that the male is the center of the household and they need X, Y, and Z, and we are nothing more than a servant and a producer and basically they switched everything. They put men in a role they don't belong in, and they put females in a role they don't belong in. So they flip the script. You are not weak in your feminine energy. Your feminine energy is where your power sits. Okay? Masculine energy isn't weak. Masculine energy is bringing to life, bringing to this material world the wisdom and the intuition that is shared with them, the ideas that come from the creativity that comes is shamed out of them. And they are taught that they're supposed to just do nothing but produce without leaning into the essence of their own creativity and their own nurturing and their own emotional. The only emotions men were allowed to have in this society is anger. That's very destructive for everybody. So your feminine energy is not weakness at all. The strongest thing you can do is lean into the full breadth of human emotions. The strongest thing that you can do is lean into your creativity. That opens up so many opportunities and doors for you when you're more naturally relaxed. So let's talk about receiving. How many men here can't take a compliment? How many men here don't think that they're entitled to any compliments, that only women get compliments, and the only compliments that are allowed to be given have to do with your physical body? The physical body it's just a vessel. It's a biological meat suit carrying our spirit. But that's all that's been allowed is we are shamed for our body, but then our body is also put in under all these rules and structures. So we don't even get to like be fully in our body that we were given because it doesn't fit what society decided was attractive to a man, what men decided was attractive. And that changes throughout centuries. Look at fashion. If you look at fashion history, you could just see look at makeup history. You could see right out the gate what somebody else in society decided would make the most money for them is to decimate the natural being and to allow this false capitalistic idea to take hold and shame everyone for what they have naturally. Compliments always made me uncomfortable, especially when we're used to control or manipulate. Yes, the energy is felt. Yeah. So let's talk about receiving for a minute, because I feel like that's the biggest damage that we all have. Because if we can't receive, that means we don't feel worthy of and we feel ashamed of. So that points us directly back internally into our own worth. So when I say receive, let's start with compliments. Let's start with compliments that are coming from individuals who have nothing to gain and who have no ulterior motive for giving you that compliment. They're just sharing how you made them feel and what they notice about you that they enjoy and they appreciate. So let's start there. Start with the compliments that you're refusing and allow yourself to see yourself through those people's eyes. Allow yourself to see yourself in that way, because that's how we start getting back into our feminine energy, is to allow ourselves to receive. The receiving part is the hardest one, I think, for all of us, especially men. Oh gosh. And I know I'm going to get flack for that, because women are like, wait, no, we are not allowed to receive anything. Okay, I get that. I say it's harder for men because it's less likely that anyone is going to throw them any compliment. It's less likely that anyone is going to lend them a hand because they're supposed to be the fixers and do it all themselves. It's less likely that they're the ones who are going to receive. I mean, be given, I'm going to say receive in a different way, be given something their way to receive. So it has affected us both differently as genders, but the energy within is still imbalanced. And that one is directly impacted our confidence within ourselves, our self-worth, our value. Okay. Let's talk about how receiving has affected our value. Men have been trained by the patriarchy, and I'm being very general. Please understand, this is general. Not all men, I know. Not all women, I know. This is so friggin' general of the system itself, this conglomerate that we have to navigate through. It has conditioned the fixer. It has conditioned and programmed the material world. It has prioritized produce materialistically, and you're allowed to get mad about whatever you want to get mad about, but you cannot, and you do not, and you are not allowed to be feminine. What does that mean? That means that they are destroying the aspect of you that can value the wisdom a woman has. You've been conditioned to immediately dismiss the natural feminine wisdom, the intuition, naturally and biologically, the females are the intuitive, the females produce the wisdom, the females receive the knowing. Healthy females. Again, we're all damaged by the patriarchy. When we're in our healthy feminine, okay? When we learn how to embrace our own divine feminine energy through self-empowerment, through self-love, through self-compassion, through self-care, we can balance the scales within. Okay, men, for you, that means perhaps trusting a woman's intuition and actually receiving what she has to say. A woman's the feminine energy. Women who struggle with receiving compliments may be leaning too much in the masculine energetic. Yes. So the feminine energy with the wisdom gets shamed, first of all, dismissed, because The system taught men to dismiss the women, disregard the women, right? You could see this in history. If you're confused about that, go watch an episode of Mad Men, and you might want to puke a little bit with the misogyny there. But because men are trained to immediately dismiss the value of a female, they're missing out on how their potential, their masculine energy and their potential can actually be amplified by the feminine energy. This is how we're meant to complement each other. We're meant to complement each other's gifts and abilities, okay? If I'm going to go back to the Shakti and the Shiva, just because it's a quick one. And there's a lot of nuances and stories and whatever runoffs, but the main idea is the Shiva cannot move without the Shakti. She is the water, and he is the action that moves upon the water. Okay? The system, the way it's structured, decided, men make all decisions. But the way the reality is and the way the system is actually set up, which is kind of a mind fuck, actually. Who's at home doing all of the things and making sure everything's right with the kids, with the house, all the big decisions in home and in life, and all the actions are done by the female. The male is given the perception and the lie that they're making decisions because theirs is the financial. They're financially more set and stable, as is the system set up. Okay? They can't produce the kids. So they tend to make the females, I'm just being general, the females stay home. Okay, I'm going to receive a lot of flack for this episode. I don't care. These are general. Argue with me about the system, the way it's set up, okay? It's set up this way. We're all subject to it to a certain degree. There are people who are blessed not to experience this patriarchy the way a lot of us have, and that's fabulous. I ain't talking to those people. I'm talking to people who are traumatized by it, okay? Including the men and women and how it's set up. How is he the action and the producer and the doing if he's sitting home like a king waiting to be served, and she is carrying the burden and the weight of all of it? All of it. Not only does she have to give birth and bounce back almost immediately and effectively, but she also has to do all the planning, all the action, all the this, all the who's planning the vacations, who's planning the dinners, who's planning who's planning the household items, who's doing the shopping, who's doing the child reader, we are naturally not supposed to be that way at all. Naturally, we are supposed to work in community with one another. We are so disconnected from each other, even in the home and in the family unit. How many of us have had bad relationships, one after another, one after another, one after another? How many of us have stories to say, oh, well, she didn't do this for me, and so therefore she kept getting insulted and offended and and we've been separated. We've been intentionally disconnected. Okay? Someone's saying they were in labor and had to drive themselves to the hospital. We've been so isolated from each other, including within our own home. This male-female societal structure is created with these roles, these gender roles, that take us away from our natural state of being. Men are supposed to complement and act on the intuition and the creativity and the knowledge of the female. The female is not supposed to do it all. That's destructive. And then when she's stuck in doing it all, she's now a man. She's the producer. She's the actor. And she loses her feminine energy. Now she can't trust herself because he decided she's wrong. Just immediately. You know how he but no, I never dismissed her. I always did it. Okay, you took action in the way you wanted to. This is what happens in the the separation structure, the gender separation. Okay. What happens in the gender separation and the gender roles is the male perspective ends up being skewed because they don't understand why she's mad. She's mad because she's doing everything. She's mad because she's isolated. Ironically, the masculine energetic is a quieter and less expressive overall than the female, but it's not. It says by quiet, I mean being authentic, compassionate, and about true feelings. I'm not sure I understand that. That didn't make sense. Is quieter off? You mean the quiet is authentic, compassionate, and with true feelings? Not in all dynamics. I'm not sure I'm clear. I need clarity on that. Because the reality is the feminine energy is amplified in men when they overreact in anger. They weren't taught how to process all breadths of emotions at a younger age and taught to accept the divine feminine intuition as actual knowledge that's viable and sustainable. It says being in masculine holds those characteristics back. Yeah. Well, so here's the misconception. Just because a man is mad doesn't mean he's in his masculine energy. Just because a man produces financially doesn't mean he's in his masculine energy. He's a robot, just like the female is, but for different reasons. And if he's overreacting and over emotional, right? Society told you that women can't be leaders because they're too emotional, whilst a lot of men out there are throwing temper tantrums and aggressiveness and being angry and bitter and pity and petty and just vindictive. And that energy is your feminine energy. Your lack of ability to control your emotion or recognize your emotion and navigate through your emotion is your unhealthy feminine energy internally. That is not masculine. That is an unhealthy feminine energy. Women, your hyperreactivity. Okay, women, when you hyperreactivity, instead of being a healthy feminine that can observe and see, okay, well, this is why I understand this. No, you're doing like, and you're just honing in and focusing in on something he did to you or she did to you or whatever dynamics you have. And your overreactivity is also unhealthy feminine imbalance. Okay? You're overproducing in one direction. There has to be a balance of each. It has nothing to do with being a tomboy. It has nothing to do with being pretty. It has nothing to do with what you do. It has to do with the internal nurturing, creation, receptivity, and that flow that you have. Okay, it's both dark and light. Masculine energy can be both dark and light. Feminine energy can be both dark and light. The way the system is set up keeps us both in the dark part. Literally. We are both divine feminine and divine masculine energy in our unhealthy. This is what we're here for. This is what we're trying to fix. We're trying to do differently. The way to fix both of them and all of them is to allow ourselves to lean into our healthy feminine energy. Okay, the healthy feminine energy observes a situation and has the ability to intuit what the root of the issue is. It gets blocked, shamed, mocked, ridiculed, guilted, and aggressively pushed away in both genders. Okay? That's the real issue here. So I don't want you to focus on, let me see what else I see. Okay, so I'm learning to embrace my female energy, a process of refining my brain. Yes, the divine feminine energy within all of us is screaming to be heard again, is screaming to have some air and breathe a little bit. That's what our divine feminine energy is going to do. And so at 4, I learned being pretty and girly was unsafe, so went tomboy. So then I was raised like a boy. Gender roles have damaged us, period. The system is about gender roles and hierarchy and capitalism, and how do we shame these people, scare these people, control these people? How do we make females not to feel powerful? How do we make females feel smaller? How do we make men feel smaller? How do we control men? By controlling their ability to feel. Your feminine energy has been decimated, period. Your divine feminine energy has been decimated. In females, you were taught that your girliness is shameful or unsafe because men were taught to be entitled to it. So now being pretty and girly is dangerous because guess what? You are sexualized. Feminine energy is not sexualization, is not sexual. Feminine energy is not sexual. It is about creation. It is about nurturing. It is life force energy. Yes, we have the ability to create life, but we are not objects. Men are not robots. We are all human beings, and we are all. Oh, how do you break it from sexuality? Is that what I'm understanding? How you break that sexual image, though? By simply changing what you accept and what you do not accept in your experience. To embody your true divine feminine energy and release it from sexualization, you decide to value your body, your person, your being, your brain, your attitude, and you do not allow yourself to be exploited. This is true for men too. The men who are trying to prove themselves, who need approval, who need validation, who are very like self-centered in an unhealthy way. The pridefulness, that self-centeredness, that me. That's what about me? What about me? I need the attention. I need the attention. They also get sexualized. Their sexualization comes differently. Okay. So they believe that in their experience, they're only allowed to have X, Y, and Z. Females are taught that they're only allowed to be X, Y, and Z. So you add that, here's what I'm allowed to have, and you put that next to here's the only thing I'm allowed to be, and you've got an entire society that has exploited and then created this sense of entitlement to the divine feminine energy in a way that is incredibly toxic and destructive. So instead of, I'm going to get slack for this word. I'm going to explain what I mean by it. Worshipping, not like a deity or god or a pedestal. What I mean by worshiping, instead of worshiping the feminine energy as you are meant to, what I mean by that, it's complicated, bubble kittens, because you were taught lies. You first have to start with, get the Etch-a-Sketch eraser out and go, give yourself a clean slate to shift every idea you ever thought was true and throw it in the trash. Start there, because the system is a lie. The system is created to decimate what is natural, okay? Giving reverence, thank you. Instead of revering the female intuition, the female knowledge and wisdom, the female ability to be the peace, the loving, the compassion, to breathe and hold space, that part is destroyed and decimated. And instead, society decided that feminine energy equals you're sexy, You are beautiful according to society standards at that time, okay? Because 20 years ago, the beauty standards weren't the same thing as they are now, okay? For men or for women, okay? And men, you're taught that you have to look a certain way in order to be sexy, and you have to make a certain amount of money to be sexy and beautiful, and you have to do all of these good deeds, but there's zero emotional connection. Zero. Zilch. Zero emotions. Just anger. It's fucked up. So first you start with erasing everything you learned in society and deciding for yourself what feels more natural to you and setting boundaries for yourself. Treat yourself first with the utmost respect and love. Okay, and now we have algorithms that have us rummaging through truth and distract us from our own paths. Yeah. We'll talk about distractions on Wednesday. I ain't going to talk about that right now. Tune in on Wednesday. And I know I'm talking a lot today because this is a complex topic and we might need a part 2 of this, okay? Because really it's a societal structure issue, okay? Look at the matriarchy countries who are leading. There's power there. Females have power. The society, the patriarchy and the society, the way it's structured, has sexualized women and called it feminine energy. And they have decided that men are entitled to that because somebody decided that someone came out of someone else's rib and created this hierarchy and we own you. Like that's the mentality. So then they forget that they themselves have the ability to be all of these wonderful, amazing things and to have compassion towards themselves and love themselves the same way. So it all begins and ends with self-love. How can we love ourselves more deeply? Setting boundaries. You want to eliminate the idea for the females out there and the men out there who we've all been sexually traumatized by this society. Okay, I think that's one of the biggest traumas that comes out of the decimation of genuine feminine energy as it is by nature and relabeling it. We have all been sexually traumatized and sexualized in some way. Okay? Men have been decimated too by this system and hurt very, very deeply by this system. Honor your own body as a temple. Honor your own spirit with respect and love and decide, I am not participating in the beliefs that were created in a hierarchy that is structured to decimate my natural way of being. That's a decision and a choice that we each have to make. I know I'm talking a lot today. Men, I need you to receive and I need you to feel. Women, I need you to receive and I need you to feel. All of us. I need us all to recognize within ourselves and do a lot of research and homework on what the actual natural essence of the divine feminine and masculine balance is and how we're naturally designed to actually work together so symbiotically that we thrive together. Okay, first we have to heal the traumas that we've experienced. We have to love ourselves and value ourselves as individuals so we can become secure. We can become secure so this way we don't get offended and take everything personally so easily. That's an unhealthy feminine energy, by the way, men and women. When you're immediately defended and you got your pride in the way and your stubbornness in the way, there is a collective rage out there. There is so much frustration behind this topic because the reality of what it means has been ignored for too long. Correct. There is a collective rage because a lot of people are starting to realize this is not right. Yeah, this feminine anger in real time. It is for all of us. All of us. It's the feminine energy within us all is screaming for something different. This disconnect from who we truly are on the inside has got to stop. And that's why we do what we do in these shows, to teach you how to heal yourself, to teach you how to love yourself, to teach you how to value yourself and respect yourself, to teach you what systems are in place that you are up against. This is not an easy thing to do. This is really, 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 really not easy to do. It is a process. It's going to take time, and it's going to have to be like through experiences that unfold for you, that you realize, ugh, I didn't like the way that felt, and I am not diminishing my light for someone else. Same for you, men. This isn't a male-female thing. This is, but it's not. It is because society designed it for the destruction of both. Why? Because the hierarchy, power, money, control. People are easy to control when they're disconnected and dysregulated. Everyone's way too heavily in their unhealthy feminine words, just that rage of reaction. Okay? And then everyone's too heavily in the productivity and action piece of the masculine, where there's no balance for that receiving of the wisdom. There's no balance for that calculating and analyzing and putting in structures in place. The building part doesn't exist because it's just do what you're told, do what you're told, do what you're told. Do what you have to do, follow the status quo. We're sexualized, period. Societally, culturally, religiously. Before patriarchy, I'm going to say, and in many, many areas of the world today, where there is a healthy balance within, you'll see that in a lot of indigenous tribes. You'll see that in matriarchal countries that are incredibly successful. Okay, nobody's homeless. Everybody eats. The old are taken care of, right? In matriarchal countries and in matriarchal systems, community is paramount. Community is the backbone of the entire structure. We help each other in collaboration, and we hold each other up and balance each other out by leaning into our divine natural gifts that we bring to the table. The way the structure is, it sexualizes everyone and puts everyone into these boxes and tells you you're not allowed to do and this is what you have to do. So everything's out of obligation and force. Okay? And you're not allowed to but you're obligated to do X, Y, and Z. It's not working. The whole system is not working, and we're all mad about it. All of us. This is going to go a little longer. I'm so sorry. So is the anger in currently going through male or female energy? Is there a way of processing that information? Okay, so the collective anger that we have to first decide that it's righteous anger for us all being lied to. Our emotions are a human experience. Are we leading with compassion, or are we not leading with compassion? Are we loving ourselves and holding ourselves with the highest regard and reverence, or are we diminishing our own worth and our own light to fit in the boxes that society has structured? The anger and the rage itself is righteous. We'd have to understand why, because systemically it's a problem. We can be mad at a person. That person is limited to their own programming and conditioning. That programming and conditioning has created that person, has created that belief system, that structure, that mindset, that unhealthiness, that insecurity, that inadequacy, that feeling of incompetence, that forced labor. It's just not healthy. The way we are currently is so unhealthy. So first we have to decide what feels right to us in our hearts. And we have to allow ourselves to grieve a life we didn't get. because the system isn't allowing that. We have to create that life for ourselves within our own hearts and within our own immediate experience, within this system that shames us for it, that mocks us for it, that sexualizes our bodies. That's a problem. I mean, I feel as though processing this information is a grieving process. We have to grieve a life we didn't get. We have to grieve the fact that we were lied to, both of us, all of us. We have to grieve the fact that we are so confused and disconnected because of this hierarchical system that was created to keep a few people really rich and in power. That's a hard pill to swallow. That's a really, really hard pill to swallow. You have to understand that you have a right to be mad, because your life would have been very, 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 very different. Anger is one of the stages of grief. So maybe let's start there, but let's turn it into righteous anger instead of anger towards specific individuals. Those specific individuals were carrying out exactly what the program and the system designed it to do. I'm saying it because I'm treating the humans as robots right now, okay? We're all produced and designed to do things a specific way to maintain this hierarchy and this system that keeps us controlled, not connected, not in tandem, not in collaboration, not in symbiotic relationship. Okay? So I want you to give yourself the type of love and attention and affection that we talk about in all of our shows, and focus inward on yourself and ask yourself ways in which you can more deeply embody that self-love and compassion toward yourself, so that when it emanates outward, it blasts out and radiates, so that you are impervious to the system's structures that are meant to destroy what it is that you're accomplishing by being that light and love, by being that compassion. Cry, please fucking cry. For the love of God, cry. Our bodies are internally screaming. We have to grieve. All right, so let's take a minute. Thank you, Micah. Take your right hand and begin scanning your body. Where am I holding it? Where am I holding that anger, that rage? I'll tell you what, it usually gets stored in the body along the hips, okay? Sometimes we feel heavy in our neck and our back and our shoulders, okay? We most especially feel heavy in our hearts. How many of us walk around like this? Don't we receive that, like, I'm feeling defeated, right? How many of us have our shoulders like this all the time? I'm feeling defeated. We close our heart physically. How many of us have pain in our hips and our joints and our knees and our ankles? This is no coincidence. Our bodies are telling us something. I'm going to share something very personal, and I know I'm over time here, but understand gut health issues. Yes, 100%. How many of us have autoimmune diseases because of our dysregulated state from being disconnected and from our imbalance of the divine masculine and divine feminine energy that lives within each of us? Our whole goals is to create coherence within our body. The coherence cannot happen if we are not in our healthy divine masculine and divine masculine energies as they are naturally meant to be, not what society tells you it is. Okay, masculine energy doesn't mean go fix the car, mow the lawn, and make money. That's not what it fucking means. Feminine energy does not mean be pretty, make sure you put out and produce babies and take care of the entire household by yourself like you're a freaking slave. That's not what it means at all. In each of us, we are supposed to embrace every breath of our human experience, allow ourselves to feel it, allow ourselves to be moved, allow ourselves to live in this human experience. It is not feelings are not masculine or feminine. Feelings are human. What's missing is the compassion and the intuition and the wisdom and the creation of the divine feminine energy. What's missing is the ability to accept and receive that information and take action on it to amplify it. Okay? How many of you have heard women are amplifiers? We amplify the actions of a man. A man, I'm talking about production and what's the system in society has produced, okay? Please don't go cuckoo on me for man-woman thing. Talking about systems. Men are just as damaged because their human birthright of feelings has been taken away. Feelings is not feminine energy, that's human. You're not allowed to be human. We're both created in this system and told in this system that we're objects that produce in different ways. Feelings are not too much. Intuition isn't wrong and shouldn't be dismissed immediately. Go within, start learning about yourself, start healing your heart, start working through your trauma, start deciding for yourself what's true and what's not true and what it feels right and what's not feeling right. You have to throw out what you learned. That's where it starts. And you have to start deciding that you're going to be open to receiving, most especially from yourself. Give yourself the reverence. There is an internal raging war amongst all of us internally, not just women, not just men. Men are starting to recognize it because they're starting to be like, wait, I don't understand what's happening. Now men are starting to actually go within and look at what it is and analyze. It's harder to make changes. The way society is structured makes it harder for the man to change, the gender, because the way society has structured it, they've given the man these false ideas of how great it is for them. They're entitled to all these amazing labor, all this stuff they're entitled to, and the prize is that they get to run the show. That's their job. When the reality is they're not even doing the work. They just hired somebody without paying them. That's the female. I cannot tell you how many. No, I'm not going to go there. This is going to have a part 2. Let's talk about the two. All right. The bloom next week is going to be a part 2. We're just going to do this because I'm already way over time. The part 2 is going to revolve around how the decimation of the divine female energy within us all has directly impacted relationships. I know we all have issues in relationship. Let's go down that road next week for the bloom. I'm going to close it here. I love you all. This is a challenging one, and we're going to take the time to go through it because I need you all to understand what's happened. Okay? And pay attention to us on Wednesday. Let's talk about distractions from the truth. Maybe we'll get down to some real truths here. I love you all so much. Go discover what you've been lied to about.
From the soil of your sorrow, petals from pain, new color in tomorrow. You walk through the dark with a soft, steady truth, holding your heart till your heart carries you. This is the blue.
Hey, this is Brindle Wolf. You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action, with programs to spark your growth, lift your spirits, and help you rise into your potential. Rise Awakenings, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken and climb. Rise Awakenings, now is the time. Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.